Thank you very much. Welcome again to the land of phrase and fable, where the only unforgiven sin is an unintentional pun, a sin, I might say, never committed by our resident fablers and phrasers, Frank Muir, Dilys Powell, Antonia Fraser, and Denis Norden. And we start today with Bibliophily. How's about that for a word, Frank?
Difficult to start with, isn't it?
Pretty difficult to start with. You're something of a bibliophile, so what is the significance to you of Cottage, Fanfare, Macabre, and Little Gidding?
I know a little about Little Gidding, not very much. That it comes in T.S. Eliot, twice, I think, and it's a little village in Cambridgeshire with a reputation for being very holy.
Do they send a tingle running up your spine? That's the key question to ask yourself.
No. T.S. bindings.
Somebody in the audience knows and said almost simultaneously.
Cottage binding. Oh, yes, there's cottage binding. That's the
cottage
only one
binding, Fanfare binding, Macabre, and Little Gidding.
No, got me.
Don't say got you. You got 2 marks for saying bindings. 2 marks to Frank. Well done. Antonia, we're going to call on your considerable scientific knowledge again. Anobia, Physonura, and Psocoptera are extremely unpopular with librarians. Why?
They're pretty unpopular with me, actually. I couldn't imagine myself calling my daughters Anolia, Physonura.
Some may, yes. A vet might call, a highly specialised sort of book vet might call his daughters those names.
Well, they're obviously things that eat books, aren't they? Creepy crawlies, and 3 different kinds of creepy crawlies.
Yes.
A creepy and a crawly.
And a creepy crawly that eats books is well known at school as...
a bookworm.
Well done. 2 marks to Antonia. So, they are species of bookworms. Dilys, what's the origin of the expression to be in his or her black books?
Oh, that must be one of these historical references which I never know.
But it is a historical reference.
Historical reference.
The original...
Something with monasteries.
Yeah, well, come on, Dilys. Dilys is doing very well.
Somebody abolished the monasteries.
Yes.
Henry the something.
Yes.
One of the Henrys abolished the monasteries. Does that help?
That helps, yes.
Didn't help the monasteries.
I don't think I can do any more.
Let's give you a mark and tell you that
Thank
the
you.
original black books were compiled by agents of Henry VIII, listing English monasteries which they considered to be sinful. Denis, 2 books published this century were entitled Essay on Silence and The Memoirs of an Amnesiac. What do they have in common?
Actually, there was... What was Oscar Levant's autobiography? Wasn't that called Memoirs of an Amnesiac? Something like that.
It's a much more literal...
Is it? Yes, what it looks like is one of those literary jokes. Let me put it this way. In the series, could one include the wit of Michael Heseltine?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Then there are these completely blank books that you can buy.
Exactly. 2 marks to Denis. Now, before we go on to round 2, here Frank and Denis are the quotations you were given for the last round. Frank's Twelfth Night, or What You Will, title of a play. Denis, Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen, a traditional American spiritual. Meanwhile, we're going to inspect some unappetizing slices of male chauvinist pork. Frank, in 1558, a Scot wrote a pamphlet containing the following sentence: I am assured that God hath revealed to some in this our age that it is more than a monster in nature that a woman should reign and bear empire above man. Who was he, and what was the title of the pamphlet?
Yes, it's a Scot who wrote this. And he was, on the whole, anti-feminine.
On the whole?
Yeah, he was noted for it. And his name is... there were lots of Scots who were...
Knock, knock, who's there?
Oh, Dilys, a little fairy writing from John Knox.
Well done.
John, in which case it's
One
from
mark.
the only book I know that he wrote, and 19th century academics said the best thing about the book was its title.
That's right.
Was the first blast of a trumpet against the monstrous regiment of women.
2 marks to Frank.
By one of those coincidences which make being on my word rather happy, I was actually reading that book, believe it or not, and you must believe me, in the British Library. And I came to the sort of appendix, which is when Queen Elizabeth came to the throne. It was written about Mary of Guise in Scotland and Mary Tudor in England, who were both Catholics. When Queen Elizabeth, good Protestant, came to the throne, the letters John Knox had to write explaining that when he said he didn't believe in women ruling, well, he didn't sort of exactly mean that he didn't believe in women ruling. They're so funny.
Well, Antonia, we can't give you a mark for that, but we'll give you a question for a couple of marks. Can you quote the good doctor's, Dr. Samuel Johnson's considered view upon women as preachers?
Well, I may not get the words right, but it's been said to me enough for me to get the sense of it right. The wonder was not that it's like the dog playing the violin. The wonder was not that the dog did it well, but that he did it at all. Is that right?
We'll give you 2 marks. I think you've improved on it. The doctor didn't go as far as the violin. He said a woman's preaching is like a dog's walking on its hinder legs. It is not done well, but you are surprised to find it done at all. Well done. Dilys.
And he liked women.
Dilys, can you complete the stanza which begins as follows? O woman, in our hours of ease, uncertain, coy, and hard to please.
Pain and anguish, something or other.
Yes, in pain and anguish, wring the brow.
There's a lady in the audience. Watch her lips.
Can you, I can't read them.
Think of nurses.
Yes. A ministering angel, thou.
Well done. 2 marks for Dilys. There are another couple of lines in the middle, and variable as the shade by the light quivering aspen made, when pain and anguish wring the brow, a ministering angel thou. Sir Walter Scott, Marmion, A Tale of Flodden. There's a doctor I know who used to always call the nurses thou, because he didn't think they were ministering angels. Send me a thou, he would say. Denis, in 1748, a father, advising his son on the facts of life, wrote as follows: Women are only children of larger growth. They have an entertaining tattle and sometimes wit. But for solid, reassuring good sense, I never knew in my life one that had it.
Well, father advising his son, 1748, is likely to be that prosy old trout, Lord Chesterfield.
Yes. Philip Dormer Stanhope, 4th Earl of Chesterfield. Now, you get 1 mark for that.
Oh.
But because our word setter, Peter Moore, is feeling cheeky for the 2nd mark, he wants you to say, would you agree with Lord Chesterfield's evaluation?
With an ardent feminist sitting right on my left, not to espouse the cause, it would be like preaching against personal hygiene or road safety. Actually, one of the interesting things I read about women not very long ago said that since the invention of elastic, women take up 1/3 less space.
Well, I think that's worth the second mark. That's worth... I think we'll give you half a bonus mark.
I don't know whether that's delicately anti-feminist or not. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. No.
There was a Frenchman who said that chivalry is the most delicate form of contempt. Which is a nice one, isn't it?
We are moving into deep waters. Let us move on. Anyway, you've got your marks, Dennis. Well done. Next round. In the 1880s, the Mrs. Somerville and Ross, who wrote Some Experiences and later Further Experiences of an Irish RM, concocted a private dictionary, as yet unpublished, of invented words with particular meanings. One of their phrase indeed, was a bosom salad, which meant a vegetable decoration intended to conceal or distract attention from an overlarge bust. From the sound of the following words, culled from their dictionary,
It's not like that.
can you deduce the meaning ascribed to them by these two ladies? And Frank, your word is a doldrumiser. Doldrumiser.
Well, doldrums are that sort of lack of wind which becomes ships. No. So a doldrumiser is obviously somebody who is so boring that he stops all conversation and stops all movement and thought and just leaves the room absolutely still and calm and deadly.
I will give you 2 marks for that. I decided to give marks for invention here. Their meaning was a person with a foolish, bemused, or stupefied demeanour. Antonia, a Grawby in the Somerville and Ross dictionary. What do you think it was? A Grawby?
Some kind of rough, woolly dog which comes bounding towards you when you least expect it, when you're out for a walk, and a Grawby comes and growls at you. And you know at once that the fearful Grawby is at your heels, and then it stays with you just long enough for its owner to come and say very indignantly, "Heel, Fido, as though one was trying to run off with the Grawby.
2 marks to Antonia, 2 marks. A most convincing definition. They used it for a raw, undisciplined child, the scourge of parents and domestics. Not unlike.
Not unlike.
Dilys, what do they call a Sheba? Sheba.
I think a Sheba ought to be an undisciplined woman, not subject to feminist convictions, and rather exasperated by the definitions of women that have just been uttered. I'm beginning to feel terribly feminist.
A grown-up Grawby, in fact. They used it to mean a new possession calculated to excite shameless envy in those to whom it is displayed, deriving from the Queen of Sheba's acute resentment at the sight of King Solomon's furniture.
Furnishings.
Dennis, the word for you is absquatulate. Absquatulate.
Yes, that's not totally unfamiliar. You've heard it, haven't you? There was a pair of radio comedians called Alexandra Mose, who were actually Billy Bennett and Albert Whelan, and they used to work in blackface, and they used to specialise in using these long words in the wrong way. They used to say, one used to say, decarbonise yourself, boy, decarbonise yourself. And absquatulate yourself was always took to mean push off, something like go. Yeah.
2 marks to Dennis and a bonus mark for getting the definition that they had. Well done.
Well, it's interesting because I think it has more or less made its way into the language, that one. So
well, it came from Somerville and Ross. They used it as to define an imperative command to small children to be off.
Oh.
I mean B-E off.
Do sit down, isn't it?
Next round. hyphenated threesomes, composite words such as hide and seek and pitch and toss. What such word can be defined as follows? Frank, haphazardly carefree. A cheerful sort of gambler might help you to get near to it.
Johnny come lately. Cholton come hard. Bury St. No.
Think of a cheerful...
Happy-go-lucky.
Well done. 2 marks to Frank. Antonia, a coronary palpitation. A palpitation, a sort of thing a baker...
Pitter-pat.
Pitter-pat, well done. 2 marks to Antonia. Dilys, a memorable wayside flower.
Forget-me-not.
Well done, 2 marks to Dilys. Denis, a maternal mollusk.
I'd written down ring-a-ding.
Don't cast these mollusks before male chauvinist pigs.
Oh, Pearl. Mother of pearl.
Well done. 2 marks to Denis. And now we come to Frank's and Denis's quotations. And Frank's is Twelfth Night, or What You Will.
Shakespeare, when he had the idea for a play, could never get started until he got the title, like Twelfth Night or What You Will. And nobody's ever discovered how he got the idea for the title, and I learnt it. I learnt it because I bought this thing from this man I met in the Red Lion in Thorpe, and he was selling things in the bar. He had a cardboard suitcase, and he was selling, it was second-hand corn plasters, actually. And I said, oh, you sell things, do you? He said, I can get anything for you, Gov, absolutely anything. Now at that time, I had an ambition to start a literary library. That is, a library of books. And I asked him whether he could get me some old books. He said, anything you like, Gov. And I said, I'd like Johnson's Dictionary, a copy of Johnson's Dictionary. He said, no trouble, Gov. No, week's time. There it was, an ancient Oxford English Dictionary, well worn, and inside it said, this book belongs to Johnson. So I paid my £2 with pleasure. I had a Johnson's Dictionary at last. So I handed over my couple of quid. And then it was the time when this big thing about Shakespeare was in the air. This chap had discovered a new Shakespeare poem and also possibly a new Shakespeare play. And I said, no, next I want you to get me Shakespeare. He said, don't know it, Gov. Where is it? I said, Brighton Pier, I know. Clacton Pier. I said, no, he's a writer. I said, he used to write, search for some of his original stuff, anything about him around Stratford. He said, no problem, Gov, no problem. He said, I've got a friend who lives there in Stratford. He said, well, it's more Hackney Marshes, but it's that direction, you know what I mean? I'll get you stuff about Shakespeare. I said, something, perhaps old diary of Bacon's, anything which will tell me about Shakespeare. Came back a week later. He said, I've got it, Gov. And my hands shook like an aspirin. It was this package. He said, it's a manuscript. It's Bacon's diary, all about Shakespeare, whatever his name was. And it was covered in vellum. And it belonged to George Saintsbury, the Victorian literary expert. And it was his copy of Bacon's diary. And I got this parcel wrapped in vellum. Well, it's very thin vellum. It's more like greaseproof paper. And it said on the top in print, it said, Saintsbury's Bacon. And then just knowing the excitement of anybody opening it said, keep cool. I opened it, and there were these pages. Anyway, I said, how much? And he said, well, you can't muck around, Gov. He said, it's 400 years old, this is. He said, you won't see much change from a fiver. So I bought it and read it avidly, and there was the truth. It was how Shakespeare thought of this title. Apparently, they were at the Mermaid Tavern. It was a celebration for one of Shakespeare's company who'd danced all the way to Norwich. It was Will Kemp. And they're holding their celebration, and Sir Francis Bacon, as he was there, lifted his glass and said, "I give you a toast." Peasant, listen. To happiness, peasant, or as much as you can get in your lowly life. And Will Kemp leapt to his feet to reply, lifted his glass, without noticing that Will Shakespeare had come in behind him. And Will Kemp then said, thus giving Shakespeare his title, Will Shakespeare, he said, "Sir, to wealth, knight, or what you will."
Thank you for continuing with the Bibliophily. Denis, let's see how you get on with Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen.
It was one of those rare moments, a lovely summer's evening. I was alone in the garden, and as I looked about me, I had a kind of revelation. This lawn on which I now stand, I thought, purely by my own efforts, I have transformed it from a tangled jungle to a barren desert. And that was literally true. In fact, even to call it a lawn was a gross misuse of the word. All those years of tending it, bending, kneeling, pushing, digging, pulling, lifting, watering, raking, fertilizing, planting, standing over it, saying, "Grow, you swine." And what did I have to show for my efforts? A kind of glorified weed orchard. An arid expanse that looked somewhere between the surface of the moon and a toxic waste dump. To say nothing of the various assortment of physical aches and pains that years of working on it had left me with. When people say that gardening is a painstaking business, I can tell you exactly where the pains take me. Right in the small of the back, there have been summers when that lawnmower pushing has left me walking like Groucho Marx for weeks at a time. And it's no good, those experts, it's no good them telling me that there are ways round that problem, because I have tried them all. Why not try using a goat to keep your grass down, they said one week. Well, I can tell you, I did try it. I tried very hard for a long time. There was absolutely no way that I could get that goat to push the mower. What I still can't understand to this day is how it is, if they've managed to invent a self-cleaning oven, why can't somebody invent a self-mowing lawn? And all that doesn't even take into account what the things cost me financially. When I mentally recap some of the items, lawnmower, wheelbarrow, garden hose, spade, rake, mulch, nutrients, peat moss, fertilizer, insect spray, black plastic rubbish bags, sun hat, special manipulative therapy for my back, gallon drums of embrocation, chiropodist fee for the time the mower went over my toes, additional loading of life insurance because of stress symptom. When you tot all those up, it would have worked out cheaper to have the whole area carpeted. So why, in that case, you may ask, why did I persevere with that lawn for so long? Well, because the only thing worse than being an inefficient gardener is having a next-door neighbour who's an absolutely red-hot gardener. You know the kind. He's got a Flymo fitted with a stereo deck, you know. And so dead, he trims his hedge with a spirit level. And, well, I've got one of them. And he shamed me into keeping at it. He'd say things like, "Look at that grass of yours." And I'd say, "Well, I don't see much wrong with it. What's wrong with it?" And he said, "Well, nothing that a good brush fire wouldn't cure. And I'd love to know what you intend doing about those weeds." Well, I said, I was thinking of picking out the 2 tallest ones and slinging a hammock between them. But finally, as I say, came that summer evening when I at last gave up on the whole thing, gazing at the bald patch of brown which marked where my son's paddling pool used to stand. I suddenly thought, here I am, still trying to get the grass to grow back on that spot, and he's now got 2 children of his own. And that was the point where I decided to, as it were, throw in the trowel. From now on, I decided the lawn can go its own sweet way, and I'll adopt a whole new attitude, a whole new concept about the growing of grass. Something along the lines of brown is beautiful. And to any gardening purists who consider that a kind of defeatist attitude, all I'll say is, you have never come across the kind of grass crop that I used to raise, because, if I may tinker with the title of a celebrated spiritual, nobody grows the stubble I've seen.
Thank you, Denis. Well, while you were throwing in the trowel, we fed the marks into the BBC's gas-fired computer, and it tells us that this week's winners, by a couple of therms, are Antonia and Denis. So it's a tin each for them of my word alphabet soup, and poor Dilys and Frank will have to make do with the letterless minestrone. And until we all meet again, goodbye. Thank you very much, and welcome once again to this ongoing, in-depth overview of the vocabulary situation, conducted by 4 people who I suspect, even under torture, couldn't bring themselves to use those words. Dilys Powell, Frank Muir, Antonia Fraser, and Denis Norden. And we start, as always, by trying to define the meaning of some real words. Frank, what's the meaning of gizzard? Gizzard.
Gizzard? Gizzard is it not a chicken's food processor?
Yes, indeed, it is.
Or a bird's food processor, because they by instinct they get grit into their stomach, don't they? And unlike us, for instance, whose stomach just sort of squeezes acid over the stuff and transforms it. Am I speaking to a doctor?
No.
I tell you, what's even worse is taking notes.
And the chicken sort of grinds it all up, the tummy, the gizzard.
Oh, yes, you got your 2
It's a
marks.
well-known fact.
Oh, yes, you got them very early on. I was just fascinated by the description of the physiology. It is a bird's second stomach for grinding up food. 2 marks, I Frank. Antonia, the meaning of Samite, S-A-M-I-T-E.
Well, Samite, exactly. Frank is holding up his white arm, which is clothed in samite, and is thus mystic and wonderful. I mean, it's generally thought of as what the great arm wore as it held up Excalibur out of the lake to dear old Arthur.
Clothed in white samite.
Samite, exactly. It's generally white, but you probably could have pink, blue, and green samite, and I imagine it, therefore, to be some kind of rich medieval samite.
Waterproof.
Waterproof,
Yes,
of course.
yes. Medieval plastic Mac. 2 marks to... usually made of silk and sometimes interwoven with gold. Dilys, the meaning of lurid, L-U-R-I-D.
Lurid, it's a word used to describe not so much colour as a light. It accompanies murders and all sorts of disagreeable occasions. The lurid light lit on his face as he cut the throat. Anyhow, it's a kind of rather disagreeable, not bright light, usually at night, I think.
I think that wins you 2 marks. I mean, a very useful adjective, actually, because it does run across the whole spectrum. I mean, it goes from pale and ghostly at one end to glaring and frightening at the other. Denis, the meaning of luscious.
Well,
easy for
luscious,
you.
yes. It's not a word. You experience a word like that rather than define it. If I were to try to explain it in 2 words, it would be Gertie Mitchell. She's
enough said.
Yes. She was a girl who used to disturb me quite a lot in my adolescence, and she had a kind of a very rounded figure and the kind of lips that looked as if she put the lipstick on with a putty knife. And she was luscious, and it can also be applied to fruit in a kind of pallid way. It's nothing to compare to Gertie Mitchell.
Well, we give you 2 marks, and we'll give you a 3rd that you can send to Gertie with our compliments. Now, before we go on to round 2, here, Frank and Denis, are the quotations you were given for the last round. Frank's is Tales from the Vienna Woods, popular song of the 19th century. And Denis's is the song title, By the Time I Get to Phoenix, words and music by Jimmy Webb. By the time I get to Phoenix, she'll be rising, that song. Meanwhile, we have a bread and butter round, or indeed 4 rounds of bread and butter, because that's the subject of the questions. Frank, what is the first recorded reference to bread as the staff of life?
I can answer that completely. I don't know. I would have thought it's either the Bible or Shakespeare.
I think it's a difficult one. So I'll give you 1 clue. And the clue is to do with the way that people who caught whales used to frighten them off from the ships by dropping something into the water to keep them away. And there was a tradition of dropping a tub into the water to keep the whales away from the whalers. And that was used by somebody...
Fascinating.
Used by
what was
somebody...
in the tub? That's what one asked.
An empty tub.
An empty tub.
But it inspired a rather fine writer to write a work which was published in 1704.
Tale of a Tub?
Yes.
But I thought Tale of a Tub was a Methodist pulpit, which was the name of it was called the Tub.
Well, we had different English masters
maybe
at
the
school.
whalers threw Methodist pulpits into the...
Anyway, let me re-ask the question now. What is the first... Where is the first recorded reference to bread as the staff of life?
It was in a book by Dean Swift called Tale of a Tub.
2 marks.
One of... It was published as 1/2 of 2 books for an additional mark. May I give you the other half?
You can give me the other half, but I don't...
It's the Battle of the Books.
I think we'll leave you with your 2 hard-earned marks. Antonia, what of literary import unites bread and butter with the Reverend Mr. William Collins?
Oh, well, some people call a thank you letter. Some people call it a bread and butter letter. And some people call it a Collins from, I suppose, Jane Austen.
Yes.
And is it Pride and Prejudice?
Yes, it is indeed.
And it was the Reverend William Collins's letter of thank you.
Two marks for Antonia. 2 bread and butter marks, and also a bonus mark for getting it Pride and Prejudice. Dilys, In what serving vessel did Jael serve butter to her husband, Heber the Kenite?
I never knew her husband's name, but I remember very well because it was such a marvellous joke when I was a child. She served it in a lordly dish, and I always thought it was so absolutely delicious that before... She cut off his head, I think, didn't she? Anyhow, she murdered him, but before she did it, she served him butter, nothing else apparently, in a lordly dish.
Well done, 2 marks. Denis, an American professor of Latin, George Martin Lane, wrote the line, "The waiter roars it through the hall." What did the waiter roar?
There was a song in the 40s called One Meatball. And the waiter would roar through the hall, "You get no bread with one meatball." But I believe that it was actually a rewrite of I think it was a 19th century comic song where it was a fishball. Very interesting why they changed that.
You get your 2 marks for "We don't give bread with one meatball," and an extra mark for the fishball, which was the original line that was written out. You pulled from under me.
Was that the American? Was
the original line? The professor of Latin wrote, "We don't give bread with one fishball." But this fish obviously didn't sell, so they changed the lyric dramatically to "one meatball," and it became a bestseller.
Nowadays it would either be one soya meat ball, wouldn't it, or one meat substitute ball.
I was going to say...
One high fibre ball.
Yes.
A high fibre ball would be good for you.
The waiter sang, he was a singer, "You get no bread with one fish finger."
We go on. I'm glad we had a cheerful round there, because we now move on to the round that can always end in tears, because we're trying to find out the differences between 2 words that could have similar meanings, and it's so much a matter of usage and opinion, we have to be very careful. Frank, what's the difference between jocose and jocular? Jocose, Jocose, and jocular.
There is no perceivable difference. If pressed to keep my team afloat, jocose, jocular.
I think you win a mark, actually, because I sympathise with your immediate expression.
I would think that jocular is a state of being whereby somebody is jolly and jokey sort of all the time, and jocose represents a capability of being humorous.
I think that earns 2 marks. I mean,
All the other way
that.
around.
All the other way, yeah. I mean, I might say that it's been a source of big debate backstage today. Our producer thinks that jocular is more trivially jokey because it's a diminutive.
Yeah.
Antonia, what's the difference between impromptu and extempore?
Well, impromptu is literally unprompted. Were I to make an incredibly amusing remark, of which there's no danger at the present, which did not come from anything that you'd asked me, which came from something you asked me, but obviously I didn't know in advance what you were going to say. That would be impromptu. If I was to get up and make a speech suddenly to this entranced audience, that would be extempore.
Oh, I'd buy that. Yes,
Thank you.
2 marks. I think it's probably to do with the cue. If the cue wasn't expected, then it's probably impromptu. Whereas if you get up extempore and make that speech, you've been carefully preparing the lavatory for 20 minutes in the hope that you might be asked to make a speech, then I think it's extempore. Dilys, the difference between a fable and a parable.
Well, a fable is a story of some imagination. A parable demands that it has a lesson to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
As far as I can go.
Oh, well, it's far enough to get
That'll
your
do.
to get your marks. Yeah. I think that's a reasonable distinction. Anybody want to take it further? Denis, no arguments about this one.
Right.
The difference between complacent and complaisant. C-O-M-P-L-A-I-S-A-N-T being the second one, the first one being C-O-M-P-L-A-C-E-N-T, complacent and complaisant.
Yes. Well, complacent with the C is sort of self-satisfied, smug, touch of smug in it. Now, complaisant isn't. A complaisant... Graham Greene wrote a play called The Complaisant Lover, and they used to talk about complaisant husbands. And complaisant husbands, I think, were people who allowed what as far as their wives were concerned, what I saw recently described as extracurricular bodily contact. So complacent means a complacent man is a man who doesn't want any trouble. He'll go along with what the rest want. He's no troublemaker.
That will do. 2 marks to Denis. The dictionary definitions I found of complacent tended to be obliging, courteous, disposed to please. It's interesting that not all that long ago they were virtual synonyms. I hadn't realised. They've only parted in the last maybe 100 years or so. Anyway, Frank, gird up your loins because we come to your...
Those old things.
We come to your phrase from Strauss, Tales from the Vienna Woods.
I had a signal domestic victory, which my wife and I celebrated yesterday to the strains of this very tune. Now, we've lived in the same house for 34 years. It's something our son said. He came down to see us, and it was a remark he made, one of those oblique remarks that, when he's gone and we talk over, set us wondering. He said at one point, "This house is becoming a squalid slum. When did you last do anything about it? When did you last repair?" With new eyes, we looked around. And there were one or two. The front door, for instance, you have to go on a course to open. What you do, should you come to visit us and wish to rush out, is you've got to stand very close to the door, get hold of the handle with your right hand, lift it with all your might, 1/4 of an inch. At the same time, brace your foot against the bottom. Strike the top left-hand corner with a clenched fist, left clenched fist, bang! It then springs open and you're through. And there's the loo. I mean, if there's a party, you have people to dinner, we suddenly hear this clunk, clunk, clunk coming. And one of us has to rush out and say through the door, "You're jerking the handle." What you have to do is gradually push the handle, accelerating slightly for the first 3 inches, then pause. The pause is vital. And then push, 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 the last inch. Now try it again. They tried again. No, you're snatching. Gently, the first. And then, of course, we rush back, and we always speak in an assumed voice, so that when they return to the company, they don't know who they've been talking to. But these little things with the house, but they're like aberrations in a friend, aren't they? I mean, you forgive them after a year, after 34 years. It's a friendly house, and friends should have these. But the kitchen was another matter. I mean, the wallpaper had been peeling off after 34. It sort of hangs down. And behind it you see one that was on there when it was last papered, which is a pictorial thing of ladies in hats and long dresses playing tennis with egg-shaped tennis rackets. And some of that's peeled away. and you get behind it the whitewash and sometimes the sort of cow dung and plaster. Used to be a farm, you see. I said, well, we must do something about the kitchen. And my son said, well, you must tile it. It's the only thing. So we went to this. There's a new shop opened in Virginia Water, which is a sort of decor place. It's called the Honourable Fiona and Husband. The proprietor. It's very posh. Well, Virginia Water is very posh. We go up there from the village for our victuals once a week, and at Christmas to buy merry coloured ribbons and nutmegs as presents for the family. But they have there this wonderful new... but there's always one shop in the shopping parade which is a problem. You know, it was a Balinese takeaway. But everybody looked at what was shoved at them over the counter and left it where it was. And they were closed under the trade descriptions there. Then there was another firm opened, the Ace Home Security Service, which had all this electronic surveillance gear for your home and buzzers and things, but they got burgled. And they got open. So the Hon Fiona Ward and husband sold all these ritzy things, and they told us that they did tiles which they could reproduce your own photographs on. So you could have a picture of where you were born, and we'd enlarge it, and the whole of the wall would be... And my wife and I went back and we had a bit of a struggle as to whether it should be Mauritius, where she was born, or Broadstairs, where I was born, showing the harbour master and the old groin. And we suddenly decided that we got to the age where we don't want it changed. We want to live with it as it is, but hygienic. So I took a photograph of the walls as they are now. Took it to the shop, got the tiles, put them up, and it's exactly as it was, but hygienic. And Jim Knight, our fishmonger, came to call. Polly was doing curried prawns and was a prawn short. And his wife came down with the prawn. Say what you like about small shops, but you get service. And he said, what a wonderful old farm kitchen, still the same old paper. And I said, it isn't. And I sloshed tomato sauce from a bottle all over it, whipped my shirt out of my trousers, and with the tail of it, rubbed it clean in a sweep. And he was aghast. He said, it's not paper. What is it then? And I said, a touch of pride wrinkling the corners of my mobile mouth, I said, it's tiles from Fiona Ward's.
Thank you, Frank. Denis, let's see how you get on with By the Time I Get to Phoenix.
I'm sorry, this doctor said to me, but I'm afraid we just don't know as much as we'd like to about the common cold. I said, but doctor, that is not what I'm suffering from. The common cold is what other people get. What I get are uncommon colds. All right, he said, then I'll call it a viral infection of the upper respiratory tract. In other words, it is a cold, but it's what you might call a high chest cold. I said, you mean as in high chest cold to say I love you? He said, no, I do not. He said, but it is nothing to worry about. I suggest you simply stay in bed and drink plenty of liquids, which is what all the doctors had told me. And there was nothing that cheesed me off more, quite apart from being so patently illogical. I mean, if you drink plenty of liquids, how can you stay in bed? But quite apart from that, I knew from experience it just wouldn't solve the problem. I'd come to him, you see, as I'd gone to so many others of his ilk, because yet again I'd woken up with those familiar coming down with a cold symptoms. You all know what I mean. Nose stuffed up, back of the throat like a Brillo pad, strange inability of the eyelids to go up further than half-mast, a sort of sonic boom going on behind your sinuses, your chest sounding like the radiator of a 1973 Cortina, and everything you eat tastes like styrofoam. Now, I know everybody gets those symptoms, but in my case, the frightening thing was what they led to, the sneezing. Because what I used to get were those explosive sneezes. You know, the kind, I mean, the sort you think must register somewhere on the Richter scale. I remember being in a Japanese restaurant once, and suddenly, unexpectedly, this... I went clean through a bamboo screen. and the other thing about sneezes like that is they can... You don't get any kind of early warning system. They just happen. They can even strike when you're engaged in some quite different physical activity. Have you ever had that? A sudden, enormous sneeze comes on while you're right in the middle of gargling. Oh, it is awful. It really is. There's a kind of whiplash effect, because, you know, you're doing one thing there and then... I actually dislocated my neck, and we were still washing gargle off the ceiling 3 months later. What's more, the sneezing sessions used to go on for a tremendous time, and when you get that amount of sneezing, not only does your nose end up feeling like somebody's been using it to plane a door, but it can also set up psychological side effects. They told me that. It brings on what they call post-nasal depression. So you can understand why I was so desperate to find a cure for it. And just when I'd almost given up hope of receiving medical help and was simply ordering boxes of paper tissues by the gross dozen, suddenly, out of the blue, I received a request to produce a play at, of all fortunate places, the Common Cold Research Centre. Their amateur dramatic society was putting on, what was it called? I know it was very suitable. Oh, yes. It was putting on Come Blow Your Horn. But as you can imagine, as soon as I got down there, I let drop a few hints about my particular strange problem. And obviously all these doctors were fascinated. And you know what they diagnosed? That my monumental sneezing sessions were the result of an allergy. But what was I allergic to? Well, that's where I once again made medical history. After a series of exhaustive tests, they came up with some startling news. I was the first person on record to be allergic to paper tissues. You see what had been happening? Any time I felt the faintest hint of the sniffles coming on, I'd been reaching for a couple of paper tissues. And that, in itself, had done it. In what could almost be the words of a popular song, by the time I got to Kleenex, I was sneezing.
Thank you, Denis.
Sorry, Jim Webb.
I find it hard to forgive you post-nasal depression. However, I see from our giant electronic scoreboard that our winners are Antonia and Denis. So, while they jog wearily around their lap of honour, Dilys and Frank can have first go at the BBC soft drinks machine. Until we all meet again, goodbye. thank you very much, and welcome to this healthy panel game that encourages 4 patients to score points off a doctor. Still lucky the doctor who has on his panel Dilys Powell, Frank Muir, Antonia, Fraser, and Denis Norden. And we start with one of our traditional pastimes, hunting the common denominator. Frank, what do these have in common? A straw, a cutty, an alderman, a dudheen, I think, but I could be wrong, and D-U-D-H-E-E-N. How do I pronounce it?
Dudheen.
Dudheen. And a nose warmer. What do they have in common?
Cutty means abbreviated. Alderman doesn't. Means rather the opposite. I think I know what it... If you looked at sheet music of Victorian music hall costermonger performers, they had the picture of them, Gus Elan or those, Albert Chevalier, they had their thumbs tucked in the armholes of their waistcoats and their bowlers on at a rakish angle. They had a thick, stubby pipe. And the thick, stubby pipe, I know, was called a nose warmer. So obviously, these are all 5 different sorts of waistcoats.
And if they were pipes, what would they be made of, do you think?
You're going to want me to say clay.
I want you to say clay, and then I can give you 2 marks.
I doubt. Well, I'll take away 1 because I doubt whether the nose warmer was a clay.
Well, we'll take 1 away from our word setter, Peter Moore, and give it to you as a bonus. So Frank gets 3 marks. Because they're alleged to be clay pipes of varying length. Antonia, what do these have in common? Grief, heavens, Lord, and gracious.
Well, you could put good in front of any of them, couldn't you?
Yes.
Good grief, good heavens, good Lord, good gracious.
And then you get 2 good marks if you do, because that is what we're looking for. Well done. When prefixed with good are expressions of astonishment. Dilys, apart from being weekdays, what do these have in common? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. What else?
I vaguely connect them with Wagner and The Ring, which has a lot of sort of...
that lasts for more days.
Characters
Yes.
called Wotan and
Yes.
Fricka and... I can't remember the names, but I think that that must be the connection between them. They are characters out of mythology, out of Nordic mythology.
Nordic mythology will do. Yes, well done. The only one I didn't know was Chu, T-I-U. Odin, or Thor, and
Tuesday.
fire.
It's a feast day. Friday also.
Denis, what do these have in common? These phrases: to brace oneself, beside the mark, a parting shot, and point blank.
I couldn't write. The agency said I'd only have to do 40 words a minute.
Trying to write them down.
Yes, point blank. No, I can't read the first one. What?
To brace oneself.
Brace oneself, yes.
Beside the mark.
I think they're all sporting.
Yes.
Because you've got the mark and shot. So it must all come from archery, where you brace yourself. And
they're all terms originating in archery. 2 marks to Denis. Before we go on to round 2 here, Frank and Denis are the quotations you were given for the last round. Frank, the Hotel du Lac, the book that won the Booker Prize, Anita Bruckner wrote it. And Denis, the Walrus and the Carpenter, 2 well-known characters. Meanwhile, we have one of these Darwinian rounds in which we try to trace the origins of the specious and the not-so-specious. Frank, the origin of the upshot of a matter.
I think we're back in... It's archery, isn't it?
Yes, it is. 2 marks. It's going to... Come on.
Upsets the person who's lost. It's the end, isn't it?
It's the last shot in an archery contest. Well, the upshot, whenever I've tried it, I've only managed down shots, never get it far enough. Antonia, a filbert nut. The origin of filbert in a filbert nut.
Well, Gilbert the filbert, the nut, presumably came after the filbert
I'm
nut.
afraid so, yes.
I am Gilbert.
I hoped Frank would sing. A filbert nut.
I
Dennis.
don't know.
It's a difficult one,
Is
this.
it natural history? Because I'm lost. I don't have to do natural history, the producer said. I'm excused natural history.
He stays indoors.
Is it a special kind of nut?
It's to do with the date upon which the nuts, on average, first tend to fall.
Oh, so
Which
if
is in
Gilbert was...
August.
Yes. A filbert nut. Is it one that falls clonk on the Feast of St. Filbert?
It does indeed. I don't... It says here St. Philibert. I don't know St. Philibert. Do you know anything about...
Oh, yes,
St.
I can tell you everything, but
Well, just
afterwards...
tell me,
No, I'm afraid it's not suitable for
Oh,
family. He was put to death in a horrible way, and his nuts were... I mean...
Say no more. Say no more. Let us turn to more savoury matters. Dilys, a nightmare. What's the origin of nightmare?
Well, night is all right, isn't it?
A night is all right.
Night
but
is
it's
all right. Mare. It's a thing which sits on you at night. What it means is a terrible sort of dream. And the mare, M-A-R-E, which is not a female horse, is a terrible sort of spirit which sits on your chest at night. Doesn't it?
That will do. It was Norse for night hag, which we used to call the night matron when I was a medical student. The night hag, origin of nightmare. Well done.
It's to do with incubus and succubus,
Yeah.
and I can never tell the difference, like stalactite and the other one.
Dennis, the origin of mum's the word.
Is it?
Somebody in the audience got very excited by that.
Yeah.
Certainly didn't
Wouldn't
keep
be a
mum.
champagne advertisement. Well, I'm not going to get
It's
the answer.
Shakespearean. It's one of those
Yeah.
Shakespeare plays that reads like a timetable.
Couldn't be Hamlet, could it?
No, it's, it's Bedford, Gloucester, Suffolk and Exeter. It's one of
High
those.
thee to Exeter to Sussex. Is that one of those? Yes.
It's one of
For
those.
mum's the word, and
Yes. Come on.
screw your courage and sticking. I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm going to get
Well,
a dozen bottles of champagne in the post, so I'm not really worried about it.
It's the second part of King Henry VI. Seal up your lips and give no word but mum. Can't remember who said it, but that's where it comes from. So let's move on to more serious round. A sociologist, and who else, at the University of Stockholm, and where else, after 3 years' research, revealed her findings in a 300-page thesis. And her discovery was that the legs of pedestrians tend to move faster when their owners are in a hurry than when they're not so pressed for time. So what we're after is, from your own researchers, to reveal to us a fundamental truth that might equally enrich the treasury of human knowledge. Frank, have you some observation that you think...
I've lived a long and full life, Doctor, and a little wisdom has percolated. I think I would say to the young some things that I've observed through my years. One is, always buy a thermometer in the summer. It's got more mercury. And there's no such thing as a little garlic. And when somebody says to you, it's the principle of the thing, not the money, it's the money.
No.
Mark? Yes.
Oh, you get your marks for that. I think a recording of this programme should be buried under a stone somewhere. That wisdom.
Lots of people have thought that. Yeah.
Dug up in a few thousand years' time. Antonia, some insight into the human condition that you would like to record.
Well, this is, like Frank, has taken me absolutely years to discover. Because when I was little, when I sat on a seesaw with my mother, I seemed to be up in the air, but she was down. And then when I sat with my children, they seemed to be down, up, and I was down. So after years of pondering this, I realised that the heaviest person on a seesaw probably is down on the ground. And this incredible natural law cannot be too widely spread. It is invaluable. Many a tight corner have I been saved by my awareness of this valuable truth.
I think there's a professorship awaiting you in Stockholm. Well done. Dilys.
I can only think of a quotation. Was it Belloc? I forget who it was, who said, "This learned fish has not sufficient brains to get into the water when it rains." And I think as a child one doesn't get drier by getting into the sea. As far as I can go, really.
I think you need a team to work on that one. Well done, Dilys. Denis.
Two thoughts I offer. And that one is it has been my observation that no matter how undecided or wishy-washy a person may be about art, religion, or politics, they always have very definite views about marzipan. And the other one is that you never realise how much furniture you've acquired until you have to go to the loo in the dark.
Right. Now we come to around. There's a rather nice typing error on my script. It calls them binomials, and I think it's absolutely right. What we want are these colloquially united pairings, like fair and square, bill and coo. And I think we've coined a use. Muir and Norden, rough and tumble. And I think they should be called binomials from now on. Anyway, Frank, I'm going to define a binomial, and you tell me what you think they are.
Go on.
Waterborne debris.
Yours very sincerely, Flotsam and Jetsam.
2 marks. Antonia, communal clamour.
Communal clamour, like the audience is doing all the time.
Colour and weep would...
Oh, hue and cry.
Hue and cry, well done. 2 marks for Antonia.
It was an extraordinarily unhelpful tool.
It's really frustration.
I thought it was too easy. Dilys, the garb of repentance.
Sad and sorry.
No, not quite.
Sackcloth.
Write it down.
And ashes.
Sackcloth. Sackcloth and ashes.
Well done, 2 marks. Where on earth did you drag that out of your mind? Denis, minded by the circumspect.
Minded by the circumspect. Is this translated from something?
Well, let me turn it into a question. What are minded by the circumspect? In a
pounds and pence.
Alphabetical
pence
sort of
and pound.
way.
Alphabetical sort of way. What are minded by?
There's a lot of
health and strength.
P's and Q's.
Well done, Antonia. P's and Q's.
Well done. 2 marks.
She knows her alphabet, yes. She really knows it.
P's and faggots, P's and Q's. Well, we come to the Frank and Denis's quotations, and Frank is the Hotel du Lac.
I've had another disappointment this week. I don't know whether I told you about it, but I've been trying to get onto this after-dinner speaking circuit, where you can earn hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds if you belong to a programme like My Word. and are famous, the two things aren't connected. But if you're one or the other, people like you to speak to them after dinner, and you get paid. And I got an offer, and it looked terribly promising. It was, this firm wrote to me, it was their 10th anniversary, and they asked me, they're having this big do at a hotel in Hampshire, 4-star hotel, the Brockley Hall Country Hotel, and it looked wonderful, a magnificent old stately home converted into a hotel. And I was going to go there and they give me a luxury bedroom for the night, and and a free dinner, of course, and then speak afterwards, and a 4-figure fee. Whoa, what? That included VAT. It was £11.50. It's a start. So I agreed, and it, in a way, was a mistake. It was a dinner jacketed affair. So I found a dark blue blazer I had, and took that down and heated the electric iron up to as hot as I could get it, and rubbed that briskly all over the lapels. And eventually a shine began to grow. And I reckon if the lighting was sufficiently dim, it would pass. So, none too confident, I drove away to Brockley Hall Country Hotel in Hampshire. It looked wonderful. It deserved its 4 stars, it claimed on the brochure. And I went up to the commissionaire at the front in livery, and I said, the banqueting suite. He said, "Round the back, Squire. Go on, round the back." And round the back was very different from round the front. The banqueting suite was a kind of ugly wooden new building, rather like one of those detention centres. The hotel room, my luxury room, was luxurious and rare. It was about the size of 2 telephone boxes. It had a bathroom which was full of free things you didn't want, like a strip of paper which didn't clean your shoes. But it had a kettle, at least. It had a chromium kettle, so I could make myself a cup of coffee. So I opened that little packet of cremated ferret, which it smelled faintly of coffee, and the little tub of milk, which isn't milk, but curdles just the same. and when the kettle was boiling, I pulled it out, I lifted it up to pour it into the cup, onto the table, and it didn't reach. The lead was only 18 inches, and I dropped the kettle onto my foot. A boiling hot kettle onto my foot. I was in agony. I filled the bidet, I had a bidet, and rested my dear foot in it. And I couldn't get my shoe back on. And time was going on. And my sock wouldn't go on either and was soaking wet. But I had a shoe kit there, so I put black boot polish all over my foot. And limped into the banquet with my blazer with its polished lapels. Oh, the whole thing was awful in retrospect. The Winston Churchill Grand Ballroom was 6'4" high, the roof, and I am 6'5", and hopping on my one shoe. I kept crashing my head against the ceiling on the upstroke of the walk. And it came time for me to speak, and they brought a microphone on a stand 8 inches tall. And it was about 3'6" below me. And I had to bend down at right angles and talk into it to make my speech. And I heard a click and my back locked. So the chap in charge of the thing, the master of foxhounds, who was sort of wandering around shouting, "This is for John." This chap, he changed the microphone for a telescopic one, which was 6 foot high. But I couldn't straighten. So what I had to do was kneel on the table, exposing my blackened foot for all to see. And I just had room under the ceiling to do the speech. Nobody was listening to the speech. All the wine glasses had been replaced by pints of beer, and they were playing cards, and there was a chorus of rugby songs going on just to the right, with vile words. And I stumbled through my speech, and the whole thing ended, and the chap came up afterwards and said, "Lark that, wasn't it?" Nothing like a posh hotel do for an evening. So you should do a story about it, write a book about it. And I thought, I will, and expose that nightmare, that incubus of an evening I had. And I started tapping away, my fingers flying lightly over the keys, the cheerful chatter sounding like young monkeys at play. When suddenly I realized that the book had already been written. It was written by Anita Buchner. Not only that, it won the Booker Prize. And not only that, it had the same title as mine. Could only have, the only title you could give to the story of that evening's displeasure. The Hotel du Lac.
Thank you very much, Frank. You put me right off cremated ferret. Denis, let's see how you get on with The Walrus and the Carpenter.
Right. Now, if I may have your attention for a moment, ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to announce the winners of the raffle. And as vice chairman of the organisation known as SBPAL, Show Business People Against Literalism, I'm pleased to say that the proceeds of the raffle will be devoted to helping victims of that affliction, those poor unfortunates who, as we all know, suffer from a total inability to take common phrases or expressions other than literally. So that if, for example, a literalism sufferer sees something in a chemist labelled stick deodorant, he'll find himself wondering how many people are troubled by smelly sticks. Or if he picks up a carton of orange juice in a supermarket whose top bears the instruction, open here, his first reaction will be, I certainly won't, I'm going to take it home and open it. Now, is it necessary to dwell on the distress and alarm such moments can cause? Speaking as a lifelong literalism sufferer myself, I need only quote such recent instances as the sign I saw in a department store window saying, sale last week. I stood there. I stood there for ages wondering why they were announcing the fact they'd had a sale the previous week. Similarly, when I came across a headline in a newspaper that read, actress said improved after car accident, all that occurred to me was that most people in such circumstances say, where am I? and I won't even go into the dreadful thoughts that were summed up by a headline in a colour supplement that said, how to cook Chinese. To say nothing of the images that came to mind when I saw an advertisement in that same supplement showing a picture of a small wardrobe underneath which were the words, you put it up yourself. Which is why we're so grateful to the wide spectrum of great-hearted show business people who've rallied round to buy these raffle tickets, ranging as they do from such stage and TV luminaries as that merry madcap Russ Abbott to the husband of Antonia Fraser, who, as some of you may know, writes little things for the theatre. But all of them, great or small, confess themselves particularly moved by the plight of literalism's younger victims. Such as, for instance, the little schoolboy who was asked the question, if 6 apples cost 24p, how much is a dozen? To which, because there is no lower limit to the age that human beings will accept words at their face value, he replied, a dozen is 12. And similarly misunderstood was the case of the 7-year-old girl literalist who claimed that Peter Piper couldn't possibly have picked a peck of pickled peppers because peppers aren't pickled till after they've been picked. Right? And an even more undeserved punishment was visited on the lad whose answer to the question, with what do you connect the name Baden-Powell, was the unassailably literal, you connect the name Baden-Powell with a hyphen. So as the money from this raffle will help to give all of those a brighter future, let's waste no more time in announcing the winners of what another of our SBPAL members once termed the glittering prizes. because among them, you'll remember, is not only a pair of solar-powered leg warmers, a chocolate-covered salami, and a wicker toilet seat, which Alan has autographed personally, but the two first prizes are a full-size stuffed carp and a porcelain model of Hadrian's Wall that plays Arrivederci Roma. So if all you raffle ticket holders will now please get out your little stubs, I'll put my hand in the hat and tell you that the winners are... Now, isn't that a coincidence? The stuffed carp and the Hadrian's Wall model have been won than none other than the two personalities I just happened to mention earlier, Mr. Abbott and Lady Antonia's husband. In other words, the Wall Russ and the carp Pinter.
Thank you, Denis. Well, while you were giving us that moving account of your complaint, I asked my nurse to add up the score, and she tells me that our lucky winners are Dilys and Frank. So it's a hamper of free bandages for them, and Antonia and Denis will have to make do with a bottle of the black cough mixture. Until we all meet again, goodbye. Thank you very much, and welcome to another bout of competitive wordplay between our, well, not all that competitive word players, Dilys Powell, Frank Muir, Antonia, Fraser, and Denis Norden. And we start, as always, with a short expedition with gun and camera through the dictionary. Frank, what is the meaning of cicatrice? C-I-C-A-T-R-I-C-E.
Sounds like one of those ladies clad in floral clothes who are snipping roses with secateurs. But it isn't, is it?
No, but it
isn't, is it?
I think we'll give you a half mark for that. I mean, it's
it also sounds like one of those French grasshoppers. But I think, in fact, I'm pretty certain it's a scar.
It is indeed.
And it's your territory, isn't it? So tell us all about scars.
Well, not my exclusive
Traumas.
territory. It's a heel scar, which... but anyway, you've got your 2 marks for a heel scar. Not only in flesh, but also on tree trunks, I'm told. Antonia, the meaning of nostrum.
Oh, well, if I prescribed a remedy to you as a doctor, me not a doctor, that would be a nostrum, wouldn't it? It should really be a meum, but it would be it's a formal kind of quack remedy.
Yes. I was wondering what quality the medicine you had, you were going to prescribe had. It's a quack. Interestingly, the definition of it originally was somebody who prescribes a medicine that they themselves produce.
Well, that's why you stopped me before I told you what this medicine was going to be.
Oh, I only stopped you because I was going to give you 2 marks. 2 marks to...
Thank you very much.
Yes, my father used to write on bottles of whiskey, Pater Nostrum, or Pater's Nostrum. Dilys, the meaning of hippogriff, Hippogriff, all one word. Hippogriff.
It's some sort of a mythical creature.
It is some sort of a mythical creature.
Hippo. It's partly a horse. And partly another mythical creature, which is a griffin.
And that is partly 4 marks, which is 2 marks. Did you want to tell us more about it?
No, a griffin is partly an eagle or something, and partly some... I mean, there are too many
animals.
animals.
Eagle is partly a bird.
Let's drop it. I can't think of any more animals.
We'll take your marks and be
Thank
content.
you.
Well done.
How orthodox all those mythical creatures were, weren't they? You know, like a centaur was always going to... A man, and he had a horse where his trousers were, but there was never... It was never the other way round, was it? They never had a horse on top and a man underneath.
Except in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Except in Midsummer Night's Dream.
The bottom was on top.
Denis, the meaning of palpebrate, Palpebrate.
How many years do you think I could go and sort of weasel my way with that I don't know this? I mean, would it be called a this is vaguely medical, I can tell by the construction, yes. Yeah. I know that you medical men palpate things, which is you kind of squeeze them. So you it's kind of mixed between squeeze and celebrate. So you could have it would be like an accordion player's birthday or something like that.
I think that's worth a mark. I think it's a difficult word. Let me give you one clue before we move on, and that is if I were to tip you the palpebrate, you'd know the answer.
There's a lady there thinks
who's
it
means
doing
wink. At you.
Yes. Does it mean wink?
It does mean wink. 2 marks to Denis. It also is an adjective meaning to do with the eyelids. But you got your marks. Now, before we go on to round 2, here, Frank and Denis, are the quotations you were given for the last round. Frank's is, "My word is my bond," which is an old English saying. And Denis, "An American in Paris," music by Gershwin and a title of a Gene Kelly film. Meanwhile, let us move on to a collection of words and phrases that have something in common. Frank, what do these words have in common? A tacet, Tassett, a vambrace, Vambrace, a pauldron, Paudron, and a plastron, Plastron. Tacet, vambrace, pauldron, and plastron. What do they have in common?
They're the middle names of the Amadeus String Quartet. or you're not registering approval there.
I'm registering enormous approval, but because the real meaning is so dull compared to that.
They're the ingredients of an Armenian pizza. Yes.
Yes? I'll give you 2 marks for 2 very inventive answers. If you can get a bonus now, if you can get the real one.
I don't want a bonus, man.
Well, I'll give you the real one.
Oblivion, I don't know it.
They're all bits and pieces of a suit of armour. A vambrace goes over the forearm, pauldron over the shoulder, plastron is the breastplate, and the tassets go over the naughty bits. All pieces of a suit of armour. Antonia, what do these have in common, these phrases? A boar's head, Boar, the other variety doesn't find house room on this programme, a fleur-de-lis, a fox's mask, and a lazy footman. And they're not all flowers in Dilys's garden.
Are they pub signs or...?
Not a bad idea. They aren't, but that...
They could be, couldn't they? I could defend it.
That's worth a mark.
Yes.
Are they tattoo patterns that you can get of various parts of your plastron?
They are patterns. They're the sort of thing... I don't suppose Jeeves might have known about them. Jeeves probably would have done, but a Jeeves-like person would know about them.
Napkins or cravats?
They are ways of, believe it or not, of folding napkins. So
Yes.
2 marks to Antonia.
I only know two, like sandwiches. They're square or triangular.
Or crumpled up in our household, or crumpled or
Or the
uncrumpled.
lily.
Or recycled.
My wife does the lily.
It's very important that it's clean side out.
Yes. That's lazy footman.
Dilys, what do these people have in common? Sir Guy the Crusader, Thomas Winterbottom Hance, and the Bishop of Rumty-Foo.
Ah. Well, the Bishop of Rumty-Foo comes in the Bad Ballads. That's the only one I've ever heard of.
Where do you think
So
the
I
others
take it
come
the others
from?
must be.
Well done. 2 marks to Dilys. All titles of ballads in W.S. Gilbert's Bad Ballads. Denis, what do the following phrases have in common? A lamb to the slaughter, a still small voice, faint yet pursuing, and the little foxes.
Are they all titles taken from the same source?
They are.
They're all titles of
Well, I'm
books
not
or
sure
plays. Lamb to the Slaughter is a thriller. Little Foxes is a Lillian Hellman play.
Faint
Same-
yet pursuing is the
Faint
one I
Yet
don't know.
Pursuing would be a wonderful title for an autobiography.
It's a very rich source of titles, and that's the source we're after.
Well, Antonia thinks it's Psalms or
It's, yes, bigger canvas than that even.
the Old
It's
Testament.
the Song
or-
of Solomon.
The Bible will
Oh,
do.
the Bible, yeah.
We'll give you 2 marks for the Bible. Well done. Now, a round that our word setter Peter Moore rather chirpily calls This and That. Can you quote the lines of poetry that contain the following oft-recited phrases? Frank...
Iron bars a cage.
No. They all are something and something, hence the very clever this and that. You see, the this and that for you are change and decay.
In all around and decay. O thou who changest not, abide with me. Lovely hymn.
The author, do you happen to know the author?
No.
Anybody know the author?
Light. Is
Yes,
it light?
yes. Lead kindly, H.F. Light, 1793 to 1847. Antonia, you're this and that. Needle and thread. An oft-recited verse it comes from. Needle and thread. A woman sat in unwomanly rags.
It's not the Lady of Shalott. Do you mind if I run through a few people it's
No.
not?
No.
Stanzas.
Yes.
It's a song. It's a song of the song of a garment.
Oh, to do with a shirt.
Yes,
Dennis?
yes.
Yes.
Author, as we've given you a bit of help.
Thomas Hood.
Thomas Hood had a ship named after him. I always thought as a boy. Between them, they've got 2 marks.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thomas Hood's Song of the Shirt. With fingers weary and worn, with eyelids heavy and red, a woman sat in unwomanly rags, plying her needle and thread. It says playing her needle and thread here. Dilys, your this and that is sceptre and crown.
Sceptre and crown. That comes in the Golden Treasury.
Well, I'm sure it does.
About page 3. Sceptre and crown must will tumble down.
Must tumble down.
And something rather take their place with the humble something and something spade, rhyming with something.
You are the best golden treasurer that I know. I mean, you've dug it out nearly. Can you remember? I mean, you've got your 2 marks. The author, do you happen to know?
Sounds a bit like
Standing above it
Kipling's
in the
Decision.
Golden Treasury, it says Shirley.
That's right, James Shirley. 2
Shirley.
marks to do. Sceptre and crown must tumble down, and in the dust be equal made with the poor crooked scythe and spade from the contention of Ajax and Ulysses. Denis, back to the classroom and let your mind roll Purple and gold.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, this is the most action-packed Technicolor opening of any poem. The Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold. His cohorts were gleaming with purple and gold.
2 marks.
It's by Byron. The title is something about a lovely name, Sennacherib.
That's
but
right.
It is to do with him in some way.
The destruction of
destruction
Sennacherib.
of
Yes.
Sennacherib.
We all love that at school.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's got the rhythm and it's got the colour and
it's got
moves.
got the right emotions for 12-year-olds as well.
It's
Anyway,
interesting the word cohorts there, which is now misused like mad as colleagues. But now there sounds like pieces of armour, doesn't it?
Antonia's uncle, a distinguished physician who taught me, one day on a round at St Thomas's Hospital asked a student, what are the causes of an enlarged spleen? And the student, stuttering, said, the causes are legion, sir. To which our uncle said, well, just give us a cohort or two. Now, let us move on to Frank and Denis's quotation. Let's see how you get on, Frank, with "My word is my bond."
Well, recently, a week or so ago, I had the 6-monthly letter from my literary agent with a cheque for the royalties on my books for that period. And when I say it's a cheque, it was a stamp, actually, but a very useful postage stamp, because, you know, when you get a little parcel and it's 18.5p, you know. So, and he also added a letter with it saying that why don't I go for something a little more commercial? Instead of writing about social history and writing children's books, why don't I, like Ian Fleming, create a super spy, like 007, a sort of mastermind detective who will solve everything? And I thought, well, if Ian Fleming can do it, I can. So I devised this chap, James Bind. James Bind is a major, of course, not a commander. He's a major. He's a major in the army, the Salvation Army. And on Sunday mornings, he plays in front of Staines Town Hall with the little silver band group, and he plays the tuba. And but he's also, of course, a spy, and he's got an 00 number, and he's licensed to commit murder, pillage, arson, and to do hang gliding. So when he's not playing on his tuba, he's Agent OOMPAH. Now, he is told by his superior, Emma, who's a lieutenant colonel in the Salvation Army, a lady, Emma, that the world is going to be sold to another planet by the arch-villain Gold Thumb. I've created Gold Thumb as a more sinister figure than Ian Fleming's. He's like a shorter, fatter Goldfinger. And what OOMPAH has got to do is stop this selling the world. So he grabs his tuba at the end of playing in Staines Market Square, and he's just crossing Staines Bridge when a car draws up. 2 men jump out, take his tuba, ram it over his head. He blacks out, and he awakens, and he's in a 5-foot cylinder, welded tight. He's underwater, he can hear the waves. He's bound and gagged, and 2 foot away, well out of his reach, is a time bomb with 30 seconds to go, ticking away. "Ah," says James Bind, "I must get out of this." So what he did was, and that's as far as I got. I couldn't think of any way he could possibly get out of a welded cylinder underwater with a time bomb about to go off. I thought, well, change your tack, Frank. So then I changed my total approach, and thought of this Belgian detective, Hercule Bon, who thinks with the little grey cells. And I thought of this wonderful, exciting plot called Murder on the Orient Football Ground. And what happens is, in a needle match with Spurs, just when the whole Orient team is sweeping towards the Spurs goal, the referee, who's an Eskimo, just to add a touch of cunning to it, suddenly drops to the ground, dead. And they rush over thinking he'd swallowed the pea from his whistle. But no, he'd been strangled. Strangled? A referee in front of 30,000 people? So they call in Hercule Bon. And he says, it is quite simple how he was strangled. What happened was, and that's as far as I got. I mean, how the devil could he be strangled? How do you strangle a referee in the middle of a football match in front of 30,000 people who didn't see a thing? So I gave it up. The fact is that my métier is not writing profitable, exciting stories about some superhero, but just to drivel on in these little stories on this programme. As the old English saying has it, my word is my bond.
I'm not so sure. You made my flesh creep there a couple of times. Denis, your phrase, an American in Paris.
It really was an intriguing situation. Despite the passage of the years, I could still recognise every one of my former classmates except her. That provocative figure across the room. Again, my eyes strayed to her, tall, willowy, with a touch of mischief in her eyes as she surveyed the other guests at this reunion. Because that's what this occasion was, a reunion of Class 5, who back in the 1940s had been what you might call the A-team at Craven Mount School. Obviously, all of us had only been in our teens then, but as I looked round at my former classmates, my former school friends, it was good to see that some of them time had touched but lightly. Others, of course, it had bashed the daylights out of, but that lady in the corner there, the plump one who looked like she got her dresses from the same place as Boy George, could that really be Penelope Willifield? Sexy Penny, whose front room every red-blooded Form 5 I used to refer to as the OK Corral. But yes, it was her. Or she, as Mr. Murchison, our English teacher, would have preferred us to say. Dear old Mr. Murchison, the only teacher in the school who made us go to the loo in alphabetical order. We'd already reminisced about him as we had about Edgar Barwick, the prefect who'd had his name taken off the school honours board for sending in a forged record request to family favourites. What else had we nattered about? Well, naturally, about what we'd been doing over that great gulf of years. Ginger Conroy, for example, the lad who'd found geometry so difficult he never did manage to work out how to calculate the shortest distance between 2 points. He'd become a taxi driver. Arthur Holroyd, whose twin passions in life had been scripture and model planes, he'd failed in his attempt to start a Salvation Air Force. Well, Freddie Mitchell, who'd always talked about becoming an astrologer when he left school, he gave up the idea because all his predictions had worked out so wildly inaccurate. What did you go in for? I said to him, oh, he said, I became an economist. But fascinating as it was to discover the turns that their lives had taken, my thoughts kept returning to that coolly provocative woman across the room. Could she have been one of Form 5's more unattainable temptresses? Irene Livermore, perhaps, a girl so emotional that when the maths master told her that parallel lines never meet, she'd cried for 3 days? Or was she Sylvia Pacefoot, who'd got so neurotic that night I snagged her Angora sweater with my hangnail? Or might she even be Alice Tozer, who on the one occasion she allowed me to take her out, had come with me to a Chinese restaurant and ordered the whole of page 2. But no, all of those I'd already greeted and spoken to. Irene now had a husband who ran a small factory making eyeballs for merry-go-round horses. Sylvia had a job as a paid informer. She worked behind the information desk at Selfridges, while Alice had settled down in the country and was now breeding Sealiums. She'd married a man called Simon Sealium. Then I suddenly became conscious that my mystery lady was now eyeing me, and her smile could only be described as inviting. So naturally I went across to her, and on reaching her side, I heard her murmur, "You still got that Donald Duck nightlight?" Well, that took me so aback, all I could do was nod mutely. "You don't remember me, do you?" she said. I said, "Frankly, no, and I can't think why I don't. I don't understand it. Well, what is your name?" "Murray," she said. "Anna. Remember now?" I shook my head. I said, you must have changed more than anybody here." "That may well be true," she said. I said, I can't remember any Anna Murray." "Well," she said, "that's probably because you knew me then as Edward Murray." You see, that's the trouble with reunions. It's not just that old friends change. It's often as not they change in ways you really could not anticipate. Which is why, as my blushes indicated, not only can an Alice Livermore arouse pity and Ginger Conroy provoke derision, but to paraphrase that Gene Kelly film, Anna Murray can embarrass. Get it, Frank?
Couldn't spot that one. Caught us all out, I think, that time. Well done, Dennis. And while you were indulging in that touching reminiscence, our race judges have confirmed that today's winners by 2 short syllables are Dilys and Frank. And before I dash off to lead them into the winner's enclosure, I have time just to say goodbye.